Hi, and welcome to our webinar on Jim2 stock types. A common thing I hear when I talk to customers is that they don't know what they don't know. And as such, we'll be going right back to basics for each topic to make sure that you're all fully informed of each section. At the end of each session, we'll have a Q&A in which you can type any question you like into chat, and we'll either answer live or get back to you with an answer after our webinar. I also wanted to let you know that these webinars and other short informational videos are available in our Learning Resources Centre. You can find this on our website by going to www.jim2.com.au, highlighting resources, and then clicking the Learning Resources section. Finally, before we get started, I wanted to thank everyone that filled out the survey ahead of this webinar. It was a great source of information about what you wanted to know more about regarding stock types. So let's start on today's topic, Jim2 and stock types. Jim2 is known for being able to work with many different types of businesses across multiple industries. We've been able to achieve this by providing a level of flexibility across the program. This flexibility means that we can help an electrical retail or services business or an irrigation supply company, as well as engineering, management services, and even more. One of the ways that this flexibility manifests is through the different types of stock that you can create. From the physical items you sell to the hours taken on a service job, or even a checklist to make sure that everything is done. By using different stock types in their intended ways, you'll be better able to handle any job that comes up. Before we go too far into the different stock types, I'll let you know that once you have assigned a stock type and used it in a transaction, you will not be able to change the stock type. The different stock types have different options available to them within Jim2. The more straightforward ones, like applies or labour, will only have the standard tabs available to them when viewing the stock record. Journal stock will include a buying tab, so you can check any purchase orders the stock has been included on. All other types of stock will have additional tabs for stock on hand, stats, and vendor information. We'll start the stock type that everyone's probably most familiar with, depleting. If you were to perform a stock take at your business, the chances are that everything you count will exist in Jim2 as depleting stock. By setting stock as depleting, you're telling Jim2 that you want to track that inventory. This effectively means that purchase orders are used to increase the inventory of this stock type, and that the stock will be used on jobs to decrease the amount of inventory. When you're buying and selling units of this stock type, you can tell Jim2 how to buy it and sell it in terms of its unit measurement. That is to say, I might buy something in cartons, but I sell them as bottles. You can set a serial number against the stock either when you purchase it or when you sell the stock. If you have attributes available to you, you can create many variations of your stock relatively easily. You can split your inventory between multiple locations. You can set price breaks or promotional pricing. You can manufacture new stock from existing stock, sell in advance. On a Jim2 portal, you can set alternative stock and send information to and from your online store. The list goes on and on. Depleting stock will cover the bulk of your inventory, and through it, you'll be able to track your costs and profits. Okay. Let's take a look at non-depleting stock. Non-depleting stock is still stock that you're purchasing from a supplier as well as on selling to a customer, but you do not wish to track its stock levels. By this, I mean that when you apply non-depleting stock to a purchase order, it will record as 100% cost, and when applied to an invoice, it's recorded as 100% profit. But in both cases, inventory has not been tracked within Jim2. One use case for non-depleting stock could be things like mounting screws, washers, cable ties, anything that might be required for the product that you're selling this stock with. You could also use non-depleting stock for freight charges or any other fees that could be considered part of your overheads that you'd like to include on the invoice. When deciding if a piece of stock should be depleting or non-depleting, there's really only one consideration to make. Do you care about tracking the stock quantities? Some factors that may help with this decision could be the value of the stock, how difficult it is to manage the units, and whether tracking the stock will take more time than the value of the stock brings to the job. If the answer is yes, you do care about this stock, you should create it as a depleting stock type. And if the answer is no, I don't care, then you should create it as a non-depleting stock. Next up is labour. The labour stock type is one that's caused some confusion with customers from time to time. Jim2 allows a division between actual labour and billable labour, with reporting that gives the ability to see what time you've charged on a job and compare it with the actual time that was recorded on the job. This stock type is unique as it cannot be purchased. And because it cannot be purchased, this stock type is used to represent the work that your staff perform. It is not meant to be used to represent labour that another company has performed for your business. That would fall into the normal purchasing process. When creating a labour stock type, you have the ability to represent the time taken on a job a bit differently. If we jump to the Details tab, we can see a field labelled Labour Content. This field will allow us to set how many hours each unit of this stock is worth. As an example, if I put a 1 in here and this is charged on a job as 1 unit, it will represent 1 hour. But if we put a 2.5 in this field, each 1 unit charged on a job will be worth 2.5 hours. In doing this, you're then able to add labour stock that will invoice as a single unit, but which may represent any number of hours of work. Be aware that if you do leave the labour content field as 0, it will use that 0 in calculations. So be sure to update this field when creating a labour stock type. Actual labour can also be recorded against the job on the Labour tab. This will allow you to see the time that your staff have actually put into the job, as long as they're entering their times. Now, Jim2 is all about showing the cost of your stock and the profit you've made on it, and labour is no different. If we take a look at the user card on the user tab, we can see that there's a field for us to enter a rate. I want to be clear about how this rate is used. The rate that is set against the user will not affect billable hours at all. It is instead used with the actual labour that this user enters on a job to facilitate profit calculation in reports. This is the only place that the rate is used, but it can give you some great insights into your labour margins. You see, the rate that you enter against the user should be the total cost of the employee, not their hourly pay rate. It should include all overheads associated with this user. In doing this, you can create a comparison between the time that your staff have actually spent on the job and therefore the cost to you, and compare that to what you have billed on the job. Of course, as we know, the actual labour doesn't always match what is billed, which is why Jim2 has the facility to show the time that was spent on the job while also being able to charge the amount you would like for the job. If all of this is set up correctly and you have access, you can generate a report called Job Profit. This report is usable from a list of jobs too, and when limiting it, when doing it from a list, you can limit it to particular stock types. So if you wanted to report on this month's profits, then we can simply generate a list from last month's completed jobs and then hit preview. There is a similar report that's available from projects that can report from a project level as well. It's called Project Profit and can be found in the reports dropdown while on a project. Okay. Have you ever wanted to set a checklist against a job to ensure that specific tasks or steps were completed on that job? Well, with Apply Stock you can. When you set a stock type to applies, you're telling Jim2 that this stock will require a status applied to it before the job can be invoiced or marked as ready. I'll show you an example to help illustrate. Okay, so here on a job, we can add the stock, apply stock, and then in the description, we can type what that task is, show apply stock during the webinar. The leftmost column is now a status column, and as I have shown you the apply stock during the webinar, I can set this status to done. We will come back to apply stock in a little bit, as we can use it in combination with another stock type to really highlight its usefulness. Special stock. I'm willing to bet that nearly all of you have had a similar experience where a customer has checked out all of your offerings but would like something ever so slightly different. It's not that you're out of stock, but more that you never would have ordered it or stocked it in the first place. It'll need to be a customer special order. And for this, we have special stock. Special stock allows you to create a single stock record that you can use to special order stock for your customers. By creating a special stock record, you can keep track of the special orders that you have on the go, also their cost of goods sold and inventory movements. Using this also means that you're not creating a bunch of depleting stock records, which can bloat your inventory. To use special stock, we can first order it by going to purchases and then adding it to a purchase order. We'll need to put in the description what the actual item is, and then after the order has come in, we can then use it on a job. When we enter the stock code special, we can then click the ellipses in the description field. From here, we'll only need to tick the stock we'd like to have included on the job and click Add to Job. Virtual stock is probably one of the less used types of stock that we offer, but only because most aren't aware of it. I did talk about this in our webinar on stock feeds, so I won't go too heavily into this one. Suffice to say, Jim2 will allow you to turn stock that is in your supplier's price list into stock codes within Jim2 so that you can use it on quotes. Actually, this stock type is only available for use on quotes. This effectively means that you do not need to create an entire stock record to quote stock that your supplier can supply. If the quote is accepted, you will need to turn the virtual stock into a different stock type, but this can save you a lot of time in creating stock records that may not be accepted on a quote. Journal. Many of you will be familiar with our next stock type, journal stock. For anyone that isn't aware, journal stock is a way for you to add or remove dollar values to a job. As there are no costs associated with the journal stock type, when you invoice it on a job, it'll translate as 100% profit. In the same vein, if you use it on a purchase order, it'll be 100% cost. Journal stock is also unique as it is the only stock type that can use negative values on quotes, jobs, and purchase orders. Be aware that on jobs, you cannot apply it in a way that leaves the total invoice as a negative amount. This means that the invoice value must finish at $0 or greater. When using journal stock on a purchase order, you are able to complete the purchase order in a negative amount, with the balance of money automatically turning into a credit for that vendor. Some practical applications of using journal stock could be for applying discounts on an ad hoc basis or to add account fees to a job. Packaging is still used by some of our customers, but it has largely been superseded by multi-level manufacturing jobs. The intention of packaging was to give our customers the ability to create kits that were prepared for sale ahead of time. In essence, packaging was used to create another level of manufacturing when Jim2 was only programmed to perform single-level manufacturing jobs. Manufacturing is not actually a type of stock as it is a type of job. By using the manufacturing jobs, you're more able to represent the work and materials that went into manufacturing the product than you could with the packaging stock type. But if the packaging stock type sounds right for your business and you'd like to know more, please get in touch with our support desk. Okay, so that's packaging. How about static and dynamic kits? Here is where it really all comes together. The power of kits comes from the ability to enter one stock code and have many stock codes appear. This is the same for dynamic and static kits. So what is the difference between them? A static kit is designed to allow your workers to add a single stock code to have many appear and then move on with the sale. With the right security settings, it will not allow components of the kit to be removed, and you cannot change the quantity of the stock in the kit. A dynamic kit will allow you and your staff to change things as you wish to suit the situation at the time. This is all dependent on security settings, of course. If we go to Tools, Security, and open up Stock. Here, we can see the ability, my apologies, here we can see where to turn on or off the ability to edit kits overall, or to allow editing static kits more specifically. If you have been given permission to edit a static kit, you'll be able to remove lines from the kit, but you'll still not be able to change the quantity of stock in the kit. By using these settings, you can allow your staff to change the contents of a dynamic kit while leaving static kits as being unable to be changed. Through doing this, you can ensure that when you sell that pump, the bolts, pipes, and any other needed equipment is included automatically. There is another aspect of kitting that is especially powerful too. Imagine adding a single line of stock to a job and having all known stock lines appear, including the labor hours, with additional stock lines that act as a checklist. It would mean that you would never miss an opportunity to bill as everything is included in the kit. As an example, I've set up a few kits to demonstrate what's possible. In our friend Blunky. In this example, I've set up a dynamic kit called Yo-Yo with Steps that includes both the parts for the yo-yo as well as the steps needed to complete the job. You may notice a stock called Checklist in the middle, which I created as a non-depleting stock to help give some separation between the steps and the actual stock. Some businesses may want to see the kit separated in a more obvious way between the actual stock and the applied stock. We can do this, but only by applying two kits to the same job. One of the limitations of kits is that you cannot add a kit to a kit. So an alternative could simply be to create two kits, one for physical and the other for applied stock. Here we can see the two kits applied, with the first handling the stock and the second being the checklist to ensure that all the steps are carried out on the job. I will also mention there is a kitting configurator tool to help set up dynamic kits, which can also offer choices on stock lines when applying the kit to a job. It can be a little complicated to set up, so if you'd like to know more about this, please give our support team a call. It may take some time to set up, but if you do, you can easily save time and money by using the different stock types for their intended purposes. Depleting stock to track costs and inventory, and non-depleting to ensure all inclusions and/or fees are captured, invoiced, and supplied. You can track recorded actual and billable labor time, and you can create task lists on your jobs with applied stock. You can adjust your job sales value with journal stock, as well as using special stock for unique orders. And you can quote stock from your supplier with virtual stock. And we can bring all of these together with static and dynamic kitting. By using these stock types together, your business will be ready for anything your customers can throw at it. Well, we sure covered a lot today about stock types. Today we covered the different types of stock, how to use kitting to reduce missed billing, keeping tighter control of your manufacturing processes, and creating task lists within jobs. Finally, I'd like to thank you for attending today. I'll leave some information on the screen about how you might get in touch with us. And now I'll hand over to Ian, who can answer any questions you might have about stock types.
Thanks, Ash. That's great.
Thank you, Ian. Do we have any questions as yet? Will we ever be able to invoice a kit inside a kit? Thank you, Trent. Ian?
No, we won't be allowing kits inside kits to work that way. The way that it was demonstrated by Ash, which is to put 2 kits in a job, is fine. But no, we won't be doing kits inside a kit. And the labour rate can be hidden so that not all users can see it. So, Amanda, I gather we're talking about the user rate on a card file. 2 areas to consider there is being able to secure it so they can't get to the user card file, the user tab on the card file as a start. That is insecurity. And a second one is that they can't see rates themselves in things like the card file or timesheet lists. That's also available via security.
This setting here, view user details, is the one that you'd be looking for there.
Correct. That's the first, and then the second comes out of being able to see labour rates on time sheets and other areas of Jim2. The job tab is one, but so too are some other report areas.
Fantastic. The ability to order a kit.
Yes, in terms of purchasing, there are complications with kits, and many people have asked us if we could turn kits into something that you can actually raise a purchase order for. Unfortunately not. So the individual stock codes need to be ordered, and then you can put them together in a package if that's a requirement, or alternatively just hold them in stock, or put them in one of the manufacture jobs, as Ash was suggesting. You won't see purchasing of kits per se come in at this point anyway.
I suspect that there are ideas on our user voice forum that can be voted on if you know. Actually, I might just mention the user voice forum. For anyone unaware, we do have a platform called User Voice that we take customers' ideas from. It is an idea generation platform. Other users can vote on ideas that have been submitted, and sort of the cream rises to the top. The ones that are most important for our customer base will get voted on a lot, and they're the ones that we look at for implementation into the program. Yeah.
And notice Cameron's asked an important question here, and one that I can't satisfy him with in terms of an answer. Cameron's asking, can we have applied stock so that it doesn't allow a price to be set? There is no restriction on pricing. If I can edit stock in the job, then I can also, as you're suggesting, put a price on and apply stock. We'd find it a very rare thing for people to do, and happy to talk to you, Cameron, about something that you might want to see customized for you. The only issue is sometimes you do want to sell applied stock with a price. It is 100% income in that it works exactly the same way as labour from an accounting point of view. Michelle's asked, would an applies kit be suitable for a JSA?
Not sure what JSA means in that context.
The abbreviations aren't coming to me at the moment. Michelle, if you want to give us some more detail in the chat, we can deal with that.
That'd be fantastic. Yeah. Sorry for missing your question as well, Cameron. Job safety analysis. It would depend what is involved in the job safety analysis, I believe, but essentially, as long as you have the set of steps that are needed to, be performed, and your workers are set in the status to say that they have been performed, it should be perfectly suited to that.
I think, Dallas, we can talk about responses. The status itself is what you're talking about, being able to mark off that something is or isn't approved, let's say, for the circumstance. We just need to talk about whether it's a Jim2 mobile response you're looking at, or whether it's a paper response with a checklist, even an active form. So we can have more of a conversation with you regarding that particular process. The idea of the applied stock is definitely that it has to have a response in order to be completed, the job to be invoiced. So at this point, that risk assessment or safety analysis might need to take place earlier than the completion of the job in order to force that response. That's why I suggest we might have a bit of a chat.
Yeah, I'm trying to get the message pop up, but it looks like I've got too many other messages waiting. Not to worry. Any other questions? Okay, well, it seems like we've got to the end of the questions for today. So we might say thank you there, unless any additional ones come in. Don't forget that there will be a survey come out for you to let us know how we're doing on the webinar front. And this will be recorded and put up on our website by this afternoon if you want to send it to anyone else that wants to watch. So thank you all, and I'll see you next time.